Looks like we've got our first viewer so far. Welcome in. I'm gonna wait a couple more minutes before we get officially started, but we are gonna be building a Craycle Cub today, which is super exciting. So let me know if the audio sounds all right. We're trying out a new mic that we've been using in a couple different videos, but just hopefully it still sounds good compared to our normal setup. Yeah, we got some nice green here, which I'm super excited about. I think a green cub would look really fun. And the prints all turned out really nice. And really easy. That, and then I think it was cool too on, let's see, the wing. Cub 800. And then the other one says Craycle, I believe, somewhere. But we'll get into it all in a bit. Let's see. Where's the part that says Craycle? There. Oh, it says on the fuselage? Yeah, there we go. Craycle Cub. Like, it all turned out super nice. But yeah, I'm gonna get building here soon. I'll give it two more minutes. So at 7:05 we'll start the whole building process. Which I don't think this is going to take super long because it's a pretty straightforward build. So I'm excited about that. So hopefully those who do want to see the stream can be off and on, but we will also just get started because I don't want this to be a ridiculously long stream. I'm shooting for maybe a couple hours, but there's not as many parts as the Craycle stick as or at least as far as I remember. But yeah, we are getting ready. I do have to put these latex gloves on again because we're going to be using some glue here, but I think I'm going to run out of this meter pel. And so I got a reload from the hobby shop. I got Instacure and some more accelerator. But that's only if we run out of our first set of glue, which Craycle recommends, or at least that's what they use in their video, so I figure that's what they want. Welcome to those who are just joining. Let me know in the comments if the audio sounds just fine. We're trying a new mic, so hopefully everything still sounds good. Without any further ado, let's see if we can try the full desk view. We got our bin of plane here, which has all of the parts required for this Cub, which isn't really all that much. But I think it's cool that it all fits in this little bin, including servos and propellers and all the stuff. And our electronics are over here, the motor, ESC, and the air unit. This is going to be a digital plane. You can do, I mean, obviously digital or not digital or analog or nothing, but I want to do digital because I got the camera for it. Might as well use it. But yeah, I'm just going to leave stuff in the bin until I need it. And I know we start with the fuselage. I looked over the whole build process to start. And I we start with that. And then a little nose piece here. Here's our fuselage. That might be in the way. But just like the first time we did this, I've got the instructions pulled up on the side camera, or the side monitor. So if you see me looking around, or hear me looking around, that's because I'm trying to check. Also, some pretty cool parts here on the fuselage nose. You can see these connect together really well, but there's also then vents on the side. So there's increased airflow. You know, the propeller's spinning and shooting air through the sides here and out the back. But it does that there, and then also on the top where the camera goes, there's this little inlet for the camera, and then it shoots out on the back side too. There's these little vents that help everything go out. But without any further ado, I'm going to put on some of these gloves to avoid sticking my fingers together forever. And yeah, as you're joining, feel free to drop a comment saying hello and tell me if the audio sounds just fine, because I don't want to just be sitting here talking to myself the whole time. All right, and hopefully these don't rip immediately like they did last time. I also was going to open a window for ventilation, and it's like super humid outside, so I immediately closed it because that's gross. But yeah, let's see. I'm going to assume things sound just fine until someone says, hey, can't hear you at all, and at that point then I'll change things. But I've also got Kleenexes here for wiping stuff up. But yeah, let's get into it. Cool. Let's see. So glue the LiPo mount part to FS2, which the documentation that Craycle gives out with these parts, I think, are from the V1 version, because there is no LiPo mount on here, at least that I can see, or no part that I had to print. But it's also very flat in here, so I'm guessing that you just pop the battery down in there. And then it's then glue the FS1, which is this part, the nose, which is this part, then 2 and 3 all go together pretty straightforwardly. So I'm just gonna do that. Let's see if this is any better. Sure. So I'm gonna just apply a little glue because this doesn't have all that many places it can go, but I still want to be precise if possible. Oh, that's why I looked a little darker in here. Aha. Okay. One tip I'm going to learn from the last time I built one of these planes is not to spray it as close as I was, because they said that's what makes the little like glossy or like the snow effect when I spray it from too close. So I'm going to spray, you'll probably see better from this angle. So I'll spray it, give it a little distance. There we go. That is one part glued in. Yeah. One done, and then glue the nose on next, which can only go this way. And so, just like they recommended, I'm going to hold it up like this and point straight down so that you can, you know, apply force directly down. So, on we go. And just like they said, I'm going to give a little distance and then spray. Hopefully that activators it correctly. test. Yeah, that feels like it's in there quite good. Let's see. I'm already gluing stuff to the desk. Let's see. I'm also going to cotton swab this out of the way. Welcome to all those who are watching. We are just getting started, so you missed out on nothing so far. So good timing. Let's see. I just want to clean this up as I go instead of right at the end. There's just a little piece of glue that I don't want there. But I also don't want it on my wire cutters. But looks just fine. All right, so it says that, and then this part at the end, which will be very similar, if not exactly the same. Which I'm going to go like this. Press fit that in there. So I think I'm going to glue this side. All right, and while it's still drying, then holding it up. Okay. Let's hold it, give it a second. Well, nice. So far, this is coming together really nicely. Like, it looks pretty darn clean. And what I like is this plane's relatively small, so there's not like a whole ton of pieces we got to work our way through. But yeah, cool. That's the first couple steps out of the way. Be a nice full view of how big that is. Let's see. Hopefully everything sounds good. Make sure to let me know if it doesn't, because that'd be real lame. But also feel free to ask questions, or if you want me to talk about other stuff like the F-22 Raptor or anything else that's on your mind, feel free to fire away. Because I've got a whole bunch of time to talk about stuff. Side view, looking good. Okay, glue the FS4, which is the rear part. See that? Mess anything up? There you go. But the FS4 is the little tail piece. This, and then hey, really enjoy your RC content. Wonder if you have her consulting services. I'd be really interested if you have questions or what sort of consulting. Like, I just gotta, hey, ooh, yeah, I've got one of those too, actually, right here. One of my recent projects was to add a totally removable system to my Timber X or to my other planes that I've got on the wall behind me. But yeah, one of the project was making that system fully removable. But yeah, if you want help, feel free to, ask here, or if you want to join the Discord and ask. But yeah, just getting people into the hobby is super fun. And I was exactly where you were at one point not too long ago, just trying to figure out what in the world I need to do to figure stuff out. So yeah, feel free to ask. And I'm looking for this one little part here. There it is. This little kind of elevator piece. And according to this, found you through that video. Did you find Instagram? Discord's probably the easiest just for a running conversation, especially if you leave it in one of our Discord things. Or our channels, but I didn't see. I hit you up on Instagram. If you did, I didn't see it just because that's not my primary, or I just don't check it often enough. But yes, Discord is probably the most easiest to reach us. Yeah, I'm absolutely happy to help because I struggled setting that up too a little bit. But see, is this even the right piece? Yeah, that goes there. This goes here because see, that's like this. Yeah. Okay. Glue this to elevator R and elevator L. Oh, they even have R and L on there. That's kind of handy. Let's see right here. You can see on there we got an L, which I got to assume means left side. That, and then other part like this, and those I'm assuming have to be pretty darn 90 degree with that vertical stabilizer. So I'll try to do that, but then glue those, make sure the elevator, yep, 90 degrees. Carefully glue the elevator bar. Okay, yeah, I see. So we're gonna go like this, I'm gonna set that flat, and we're gonna try to go 90 into here, which will just require a little bit of glue. Okay, I think that's about 90, and I'm just eyeballing it. Then I'll let it sit and spray. I think that's good. Wonder if I had just another little bead on the inside edge. You know what, that's pretty darn solid. And it looks 90 degrees. Let's see, yep, and then the other elevator side, which is gonna be a little different because I've already put in this side, so I guess I'll just put in a bead of glue. You know, I'm gonna put it on the actual plane side instead. Let's see, we'll go back to this angle. I think it's a good profile of what I'm actually doing. And then I could stick this in and try to keep it 90 degrees, which looks pretty good. I'm gonna let it try to harden by itself, and then I will go back and spray it. Yeah, that looks good. Cool. It's amazing how quickly that hardens. Amazing. I'll join the Discord. I'm trying to make a little robot character for my videos. I won't be flying or anything. I just have a bunch of parts I don't know. Oh yeah, that'd be really cool. That sounds like a fun little project, or probably a big project. But yeah, we did stuff with an Arduino, both in our Corsair and, well, I think it's just our Corsair. The head trackers are Arduino based, but yeah, they're really cool. They're really fun to work with. But yeah, if you need help, or I don't know how much I could help, but I will for sure try, because it's the whole point of it. Let's see, glue that in there. Yes, I see that. Where's my tweezers? This way. So this little elevator piece goes right in here. There's a little slot that keeps everything linked up, which I'm going to do that. Oh wait, I think I can even crack that off. Distribute the force on both sides. Yeah, okay, sure. That already fits in there pretty well by itself, so it doesn't need a whole lot of glue. And keep up the great content. Thank you very much. I'll do my best. 'cause that's all I can promise. There, that looks like it's going in there nice. I also really like the green. It's my favorite color, but you don't see a lot of green Cubs, which is why I wanted to do green. And I happen to have some green PLA, so I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So let me know if the audio is sounding good. I don't know if you've heard me say this a bunch or not, but new mic, just making sure it still sounds good. If it's too loud or something, just let me know. Let's see. Didn't get any glue in the hinges, which is good. And then I think next, yes, I gotta crack this off. So all I'm gonna do is just bend it up. There we go. Because this isn't the hinge, there's actually TPU printable hinges. There we go. And so these little slots are gonna have their own. Audio's good, awesome, thank you. Appreciate that. But going back to our bin of parts here for a second, there are these little TPU hinges, which that's not on screen. 1, 2, and 3. And that's going to be how this part actually moves. And I remember last time doing this, I didn't do it quick enough and things set wrong. But see, there's going to be a hinge here, and here, and here. So I got to glue those in, and then those will set really nicely into here. Okay, so let's get one of these. And also remember, you don't need a lot of glue for these TPU hinge parts, because if you do too much, it'll smear outside of the glue joint where you really don't want anything. Oh, I kind of did that again. You see how it kind of bulges past? You don't really want that, because that's right where the hinge is actually taking place. So that one looks like it's good. So I'm going to hit that little activator as we go through our whole system. You want like a tiny bit. You can tell I'm running low because it takes a longer and longer to squeeze out even a drop. There we go. And last one. Okay, and then I wonder if when I'm spraying this with the kicker spray, it's really harming it, because then when I go put these on the other side, the glue starts to harden like right away. So instead of actually getting a hinge, it kind of just sticks. But see, this is what we want, a nice flexible TPU hinge. We just need those sides to be glued in, which hopefully we can do this in one try, unlike we did on the Craycle stick. Come on. Okay, that's in there. Oh yeah, we're in business. There we go. No movement, no nothing. That's all pushing as far as it can go, and there's no blockages. Bam. Now that should be our elevator all in place. It is really doing nicely. And I guess it's not really going to deflect like that much, because it's going to be a pretty slow flyer, but that's totally fine. Yeah, okay, nice. You reassemble this. Glue the Rudder 1 and Rudder 2 parts together. So that's that part, and back to our big bag of parts here, which is here. We need this little rudder piece. There it is. And then 2 more hinge pieces. I could have probably done this in a little better way than having everything in a loud bin, but we'll manage. So that's that and that. All right, glue the rudder together. Yep, that makes sense. There's only really one way for these to go together. Hold that straight. Great job. Gotta hold it straight and wipe away glue. But you know what? Maybe I'll just hold it straight. Yeah, feel free to ask any more questions or comments or whatever you got. Or if you just enjoy my every once in a while commentary, that's fine too. But we got our rudder looking clean and straight, which is good. And now we just got to glue in our hinges. Just right there. Same process as before. One. That in there. Okay. Those are pretty good. And then can do the same here. There we go. That looks like it's in the right spot and it's straight. Now we got our rudder looking nice, elevator's looking good. That's our tail, I gotta assume almost done, maybe minus the, yes, minus the wheel. Back to our parts box, which we need this little rim, or I guess tire, the rim, and then these 2 standoffs, and then our first time, sorry for the loud noise, but the first time we're going into a little screw box here, our bag of stuff, because we need a, let's see, I can see the one I need. You know what, I'll just dump this out, and then I can just use stuff as we go. See, we need just one of these guys should work. But we're going to thread this through the side, and we're going to screw that into there, which should probably be better from here. But we're going to screw this in. And then once we get far enough, we can actually put the tire on the wheel. Because this great part's TPU, so it's a little squishier, which makes sense for it being the tire part. And we can go like this. Screw this in, and then once we get past that threshold, Can screw it in more. All right, I don't want it to be super tight because I still want this to roll around a little bit. I think that's the correct screw to use. Gotta assume so. But yeah, that's the tire. And then we'll go back to here. And this should fit on. There's these little slots for it. That just needs a little glue. But yeah, that's pretty easy as well. Okay, holding that in place. Spray directly into my thumb. Nice. Here we go, got our little wheel on. Nice, that's cool. Let's see here. I could probably loosen this screw just a little bit to make it spin freer, but for the moment it's just fine. But that is our rear landing systems all done. So that's exciting. That's a good portion of it that we don't have to worry about until later. I'll go back to the side view. Yeah, now we're on to the wings. So release that from this. So this should be the easy part. Or at least figuring out what's what, because they also have R's and L's on here. Like we've got an L and R, but these are the right sides. And then L and R. L and R. There we go. So these are going to go like this, and these like this. Cool. Okay. Release the aileron flaps from the wing tube by breaking its tiny connections, and then use more of the hinges. So we're going to need 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. And also, if you're interested in buying this plane, either the parts like I did or the entire like printed parts that they'll ship you, I do got discount codes in the description of this live stream, which will not only save you money, but we also earn a small commission on everything sold using our codes. So if you want to buy a plane, might as well save yourself some money. But yeah, it's a really cool plane so far. It's really straightforward to build, which I like, because I don't want to overcomplicate things here. Try to get both of these in. All right, maybe I just try going glue on everything and then kicker at the end. All right, they're in. I'll hit with a little spray. Nice. Maybe not nice. I thought that was going to stick a little bit better, but that's fine. Maybe I just didn't let it set long enough time. Yeah, now it's just fine. Cool. That's one set of wings, or one side. Now repeat. Cool. And now just to put it back into the wing. Oh, there we go. Making sure these are out of the way of any of the connections. See, that might be a little annoying, but I'll make it work. Okay, those are moving. And all right, glue those in. Take the servo, position the same as the image below, screw in that. Okay, this is all pretty straightforward. So I'm going to take one of these at a time, and they connect like this, which they need to be glued in, but I need to put this servo in here. So I've got a servo already prepared since I am a professional and I did this beforehand. But this is going to go in here. And then this screws in like this. And they even have these really nice slots for the servos to fit into, if I can just get this wire out of the way. All right, wire, look you open around. There we go. There, so see, it fits in really nicely to the plane, and then it just needs two screws here, which again, these are just the screws that came with the servo for mounting purposes. I'm just gonna screw these in. you're wondering what I'm doing, these servos don't come with any little adjustable attachment here like I've got. So I am adding them, and that's going to make the whole process a lot easier when I'm making the little control arm, or the metal push rods. Instead of having to match them perfectly to this length, I can just get them into this hole here, and then I can adjust the length really easily. So I'm going to do that to all 4 of them before I put it into the plane, because once it's in the plane, it's going to be a lot harder. I'll just say a lot more annoying to get them in. But this will just hopefully save me some time down the road. I got these from Amazon. They're really cheap. It was maybe $5-10 for like 24 of them. But this is the old heated up paperclip technique to help melt the plastic of the control arm. And that will make it really easy to just fit this through and then widen this hole up a little bit, because its normal size is just a little too small. You can see we just widened it up a little bit. Now we can take this, fit it through the top, screw it in. And then it still can freely rotate, which is good because we want it to, as our control surface moves, or I guess as our servo moves, we want this adjustable piece to move freely so it can rotate around the axes of the servo head. But that's in there, so that's 3 done. And now one last one. Again, if you have any questions or comments or any topics or ideas for things to add to planes, feel free to drop in the comments. Like talking about random stuff, well, I might as well. Go. Now one last one. And that one's in. Let's put the washer and the nut on the end. There, all 4 of those done. Hopefully shouldn't need the lighter the rest of the time, and if I do, that means something's gone extremely wrong. But I'm going to center up these servos here before I add the servo horn on, because I don't want to fix that later. So I'm going to put these as straight up as possible. That's not straight up. There we go, and then we're going to need one of these little screws and this. Nice, and this moves freely. Nice. Center that. Is that centered? No, centered. Okay, that's one side done for now. Then we will do the same. Centered and locked in. Grab a little set screw. There we go. Oh, that's fine. Nice. Those are both of our servos installed into the arms. So then what is next? Okay, then it's just glue everything together. So we're gonna go make sure we got the left and the left. And we're just gonna glue that in like this. Actually, first we can add these little covers. Or no, that'll happen afterwards. So we're gonna add just a little bit of glue here. And as I remember from last time, this has to be more, let's see, we can go top down for this one. We're gonna grab these two. God, there's just a huge mess on the side. But we're going to grab these so that we can stand our wing straight up. And then I can also add glue around the edge. And then this is gonna fit right over the top and stick in like this, which may be side view. Yeah, maybe that'll be better. But that's what we're gonna do here. So start by just going quick around these edge pieces. Okay, so now stand that in place. Put this over the top. And it sits by itself really nicely, which is very handy for building. But I want this to stay as straight as possible. And hit with the activator. Hold it in place for a little bit longer. And then hopefully that, oh yeah, that's a nice seam, or a nice joint. So that's that, and then I'll put these aside just for a second because we can install these little servo covers, which are really handy for protecting everything. They slide in right over the top of our servo here. Once that gets out of the way. There we go. And then one little screw goes in the top there. And if I can remember which one I used, that'd be awesome, but I think I got it. See this one. I guess I put those in too low, as you can see. Which isn't the end of the world. It just requires some thinking on my part. Which means a couple things. One, we could leave these servo covers off completely because they're not super necessary. But I do like having them because this will allow the full degrees of freedom for movement. But let's see, that lines up pretty darn straight. You know, it might even be fine on these ailerons to just not have these push or these adjusters, because the design for this is so well done that the place where the push rod or the horn is going to go lines up like directly with the arm. So we can just make the line the right length. And that'll Save us a little bit of weight too. A tiny bit of weight, but a little bit nonetheless. Okay, so I still want this in there. And there's screw. There we go. So see how nice and covered and protected our servos are? Which I really like. It's a cool feature. And it makes it easy to remove these servos too if you need to. So that's that side. I'm going to do the same here. Just going to quick remove this guy. Okay, we'll get this back into place. Okay. Who's being annoying? Okay. That in there. This in here. Nice. Clear that all up. Nice smooth finish. These back off camera. This is looking very good. Excited about that. I'm just going to glue the tops on, which are also nicely labeled with an R and an L. So these caps just go on the end here. Cool. A little more gluing is needed. Should be the first wing fully done. And now there is a little rubbing, which we can mitigate that with just a tiny bit of filing, but the wing is looking very smooth. Second one. Okay, second side of the wing is looking really good. Nice, that's our wings. Pretty much done. I guess minus the little control horns, but that's, when does he put on the control horns? Guess he doesn't, but let's see, a little reorganization here. Let's go to the top view. I need to get these out of the way, because I don't think I'll need them until maybe later. But quick organization. Okay. I think we've got the control arms will control horns. There's also something he did, or the instructions don't explicitly mention. We need this and this and this and this. Okay, and then we need a push rod. They're all attached, which just makes it annoying to grab. Okay. So what I'm going to try to do here is make a little double-sided hook, which is why it would be nice to have the, I could just install these the other way. That's what I was going to do beforehand. But if I just put these on this side, that might solve our problem as well. Although, is that going to be too low? I have to make it, maybe make it higher. Well, let's see. Maybe it'll be easy enough to just make these push rods the exact right length on the first try. So I'm going to start with a little Z-bend. Tool. Alright, so we got a nice little Z bend, which can go into this side, which still would be pretty easy if I had this adapter, but we will make do without it. So if this goes in here, comes around, now we need this to be so I want this to be flat as we are working on it. So I'm going to add a little piece of painter's tape. Go. Well, of course, we can't have it over the exact part that we need, so I'll put on the back. Ooh. Okay, so if this needs to go here, oh, I see how we could totally do this. We could just have these little adapters on this side. Oh, I see. I knew there was a way that they use these adapters, and I really wanted to as well, because it makes this process super easy, at least compared to not doing this. Okay, I see. We are going to need the paperclip technique again, but it's not because of a huge mishap. It's actually because we are making life easier. There we go, and if this is going to be here, like this. And then we've got our little nut on the back of it. Oh, I already had one. just screwing this in, and then that can still freely rotate, but it's not going anywhere, which is good. And then I can really glue this on first without even using a push rod, which means I can really get this vertical. Again, we want this as north-south as we can get. Yeah, once it's straight, then we could activator it. Should keep it sturdy, but yeah, you can see that's right in line, exactly what we want. Now we're going to fish our push rod through here until we get it to here. Actually, I did it not exactly the correct way, but we can get this in here. There we go. And get that centered up. So that's centered when this is centered. And then we can cut, and we can actually leave a little bit extra space because if we need to trim it out, we can. I'm going to use actual wire cutters, or maybe just a little beefier wire cutters than my small pocket ones. Because again, we're professional, so we're doing it correct. Go. The creating of these push rods and linkages are so much easier than the ones we do in the stick, just because we actually have these linkage arms, or like adjustable pieces, which makes it less precise in your arm working. So now, oh yeah, it's like, why is it not moving very well? I taped it down, that's why. So I got that, and now as we move our servo, it gets stuck, which is good, which means it doesn't move by itself, but it will work. That's what I'm trying to say. But that is one side done. Once I get this servo connector out. Okay, now the same thing on this other side. I'm going to first put in, see, where did that go? This. And this is going to have to be just slightly widened out. There, and then let's see what to do in that one. I had to go inside, so we'll do that the exact same way. Go inside. Okay, obviously didn't get it wide enough. All right, nice. And this time I'm going to do it the opposite way. We're still going to bend this to the correct direction. Where I'm going to cut this linkage arm first, so I don't have to weave this whole thing in. Got my safety squints on. Good. And now we can glue this part in. Once that looks straight, it's already kind of setting by itself, which is good. Uh-oh. Getting low on this activator, which is why I got more. But this is going to go inside. Actually, we'll go... There we go. And then we can loosen this part. And then recenter this servo. And then tighten down this. Nice. All right. Linkage arms are complete. And I can put this stuff away. Let's see. I think that's the whole servo assembly. So we can kind of clean this up a little bit. We're actually going to need the same system for these last two push rods. I'll just do that now while I've got the stuff out. They're actually, we won't need to do this because, let's see, it'll actually be done on the other side, so we don't have to do that. Okay, next is the fuselage, which might need a over-the-top view for this one because this will be getting a little bit bigger, but this plane does need a, not a full wing spar, but there is a little spar down the middle, which just keeps things a little better protected here. And I've got the spar that I'm going to use right here. And so I bought, let's see, where is it? I bought these. I like the green plane. Thanks. I do too. But I bought these carbon fiber rods. They are 5mm by 200mm, but the instructions say you need about 170, so I just chopped the tip off. So now we are down to 170. I just use a wire cutters, but I did that off camera before we got started here. But next step, we've got this little connector, which so we're going to have carbon fiber spar down the middle. You know, I'll go the other way. Down the middle here, and then this little connector goes in here and clips on. This makes sure that the wing, or like you glue this in, but that makes sure it doesn't flex the plane out, and then our spar goes in there. So let's see what the instructions say. Mount the wing to fuselage, inserting the servo cables. Oh yeah, the servo cables, there's also these little slots here which fit, so it's like really nice to get everything in. Let's see, attach the FS support part, glued into the fuselage to prevent fuselage from stretching, apply minimum amount of adhesive to the CF rod to be able to reuse it. Oh, I see. Well, it looks like I just need to put a little bit of glue here. Come on, you. I can see more in there. Let's come up with our name for this plane since it's a green cub. So we're going to call it the Grub. Or are we going to call it the Craycle Cub Green? I'll leave that up to the viewers here. Okay, there we go. So then this has to go. Set that right down the middle and then add a little bit of this. Nice. Yeah, so that's going to keep our plane from stretching out. These gloves keep my fingers from stretching together. Quick water break. Let me know if the audio is sounding good. We're using the new microphones. Stick the tails. I'm pretty sure then it's all just assembling this. I'm trying to see you guys get the best view. Full desk, probably. So we've got our servo connector there, which goes in through the wing, which then goes onto our spar. Which goes on like that. So then, just need a little adhesive. Wow, I nailed the amount of glue here. Uh-oh. It's probably awesome to just release a whole lot of into my room here, but good thing I came prepared. More spray adhesive from Hub Hobby, not sponsored. Reese's. It's got a different spray to it, but I'm not against it. Whew. It's kind of got a floral scent to it. All right, if you're looking for a little air freshener, this is kind of floral. Very fun. It's a Accelerator Insta Set from Hub Hobby. Not sponsored. Okay, and I think this glue is just about out as well, so we're going to switch over to the other sponsorship. Super Thin Instacure Glue, brought to you by Hub Hobby, not sponsored. Although if we were, that'd be awesome, but we are not. Anyways. Or heck, if someone wanted to sponsor one of these camera angles, and whenever we switch to it, we just have whatever we want to be sponsored. That'd be funny. Just like football does, like the whatever Walmart Skycam, or not, it's Amazon 4K, whatever. You can have the inverted aviators from this way cam. Let's see. I'm guessing I need to chop this and chop it a bit more. There we go. Now we're in business. Oh, all right. It said super thin, and it is super thin. It's like very super thin. All right. I guess that's why this nozzle's so small. Man, that stuff does, there it is, like crazy thin. Let's see, how am I going to do this? I need to hold it just, maybe if I put it up against here, then gentle press. Okay, so I'll add a little bit more on this side. Well, oops, that's fine. I guess I should have seen the super thin meant that it would be super runny. I don't know why I expected anything different. But I think I might add just another strip along the top here. That'll buff out. Okay, looks like our wings are all attached, which is exciting. Okay, and oh, I think I also need the tail, which should be also very easy since there's only one way for this to go in. So I can rotate it. Cool. And we will try this again. Now remember that this is very thin. All right, what's the big idea here? Did it like harden in an instant? Let's see, do I got like a thumbtack? I do, wow. There's a shot in the dark. Actually, I knew I did because we are professionals and we are, God, prepared. Huh. Okay, where were we? Putting this very runny accelerator, or glue. Okay. Put that in there, let it sit for a second, and then we'll spray on some accelerator. Golly. All right. Tail's installed. Wipe that down. Nice. Green plane is looking pretty nice. I'm glad I put the lid on this glue because I've knocked it over. And I don't want that spilling everywhere. But full desk. Look at that. A nice green Cub. Okay. Go back. There we go. All right. That's all attached. Stick the tail. Yep. All right, now this is gonna be the fun part. We've got these. Oh, I didn't put this side on yet. I can do that. Make sure this looks professional, you know. And then we're gonna need a little screw and a. For now, our servos are protected, plus we're more aerodynamic. We also gained a subscriber. That's why I got the subscriber count on there. Let's go. But we have these supports that are going to go on like this and like backwards. This, that, and that. Which these should only need the same like servo screws, but I tried this out beforehand and I accidentally widened out one of these holes a little too much. So instead we're going to use the right screws and then maybe the wrong screw. But let's see, get this in here, that in there. See how this doesn't screw in at all? Although, it doesn't screw in, but this is going to have a little clamp over it anyway, so it'll probably be just fine. Super glue the hole, let it dry, try smaller. Yeah. It's a good idea. Super glue the hole, let it dry, then try smaller. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. When I was at Hub Hobby looking at glues, I saw super thin, like a medium, and a thick. And I was like, I don't know. I guess I should have shot for the middle instead of being like, yeah, I think super thin will be the right call. There, that's that in. That's that in, and that's this in. But this, it's a little wiggly, which I guess I could just do the other, well, second time I've debated over it, but. Other screw in. A little bigger bite. Actually, no, I'll stick to my guns. We'll stick with the original screw and just have the other part that's going on top of it make sure it stays down. Okay, that's fine. Now this side. Now this side screws in really well because I didn't test it beforehand. I just trusted the process, and look what it gets us. Good results. One, two, and three. All right, those are these pieces all assembled. Check the flatness of the wings. All right. Now, you tell me. We can't see that. If I just go like this, that looks pretty flat to me. Good little flatness to it. Install the servos into the fuselage. Now this is a part that I did beforehand, and I thought it was easier to install these servos before gluing in the tail, because then you kind of work at it a couple angles, but for the sake of doing it exactly like they did, I did not, in the end, do it the way I thought was better. But I'm gonna, once again, square up these servos before I do anything to them. So going to plug that in, plug this in, set that to the middle. Then I'm going to add one of these servo horns, and looks like, well, they're kind of one each way, but the one that's facing this way, lost the nut on the back. We're just past an hour and a half into this stream, and we're making some great progress. Okay. So the one that's facing this way, I want to be like this, according to the manual. And then we need the little set screw, which is this one. Okay, now that that's in, this will go into here, which you might need a full shot for that. But this is going to be a little tricky. This out of the way. Screw number 1. Screw number 2. And then, let's see. It's going to go all the way in the back here. Oop. Dropped it. And I want to make sure I don't lose these screws because that would just be annoying. Yeah, this one might just be a tough one to see because I'm trying to fish this servo way down the back here. Right there. Oh, I lost one. Stay in. Okay. Ooh. Uh-oh. Lost another screw. The slightly magnetic tip saved the day again. Okay, that's one side in, and then this will swing back to its even position. Great. Now we're going to do the exact same process for this other servo. Center that up. Now this time, the servo's facing this way. It's going this way. And our last little set screw. Not that one. Huh, did I already use it? Oh no, there it is. Okay. Now we're going to repeat on both of these. This is going to be this way, and we're going to get our screws in. Hopefully I can preset these screws better than I did last time. This is why I thought it might be easier to put these servos in before attaching the tail, because you can kind of get your fingers in through the back and hold things in place, slash if you get things kind of messed up, it'd be easier, but that side was super easy. Okay, those are those servos connected up. Okay, then we're going to need to attach our servo connectors at the back. Oop. And go full desk for this one. But let's see. the best way to do this. If I flip it upside down, sure. I'm just going to glue this in the back. Switch it to here. Yeah. So we're going to go with the extreme runny. Where is the other side? Oh, it's there and here. Okay. So if I go copy. Then just douse it with accelerator. And then I'll repeat for the rudder. So that's going to be on that side. So maybe I apply it to the part individually. Gosh, that thing sets like super fast, which I happen to just nail it, but still, that is mighty fast. So we got our control horns in place, and now this will also be relatively easy because of the way we're doing this. Let's see, I guess I can do rudder first. I'm going to take our push rod and make another little L band in the end. Kind of ugly, but it'll work. Now what we're going to do is fish. You can see there's a little slot here. And that's where we're going to fish this side into. And that's probably just going to go right through everything, which is just fine. Or let's see, maybe if I get this in here, then fish it through. Yes, we're learning. Oh, came out. Okay, try again. We got this in there, and then we're going to turn around and that through there. And there we go. There we go. Now you can see, well, you can't see, but we've got this rod coming through the front, and as I pull it, we get a tail to move. It's good. So if we flip this over, now all we have to do is, I guess I should have really done that a little bit differently. Yeah. All right, we'll try that again. Good thing that we are able to undo things, because I want to, as I'm feeding this through, I want to fish it through this little eyelet that we're going through. Which means I'm going to take it out of this back hole. Okay, so now I've got it pulled through quite a ways, and I switch back to here. You might be able to see it, but I could guide this now through here. Oop, almost. Where are my tweezers? Okay, now when I pull this through, which I'll go back to full desk because it's hard to see it otherwise, but I'm going to pull this all the way through, and we're going to be through the eyelet and through the back, thus making this servo connector good. So now I can once again cut out the back. I'll leave a little bit of extra room in case you want to trim it out, but it doesn't need all that much. And then once this is straight, and we know that our servo is straight because we squared that up beforehand, so that's straight, this is straight, I can tighten this down. Nice. And then the same process for the other side, which this will be long enough. That's great. Let's see, is there a better way I can do this to prevent me from kind of going back and forth a whole bunch? All right, so back to bending this little L gap or L bend. Go. And we're going to fish it through. This is going to be our elevator, which is on the bottom side. So I'm going to go through here. And at least get it through the eye hole. I won't tighten it down yet, but once I get that through, that'll just make the whole process easier. Okay, that's through in this side. Flip it around. I want to go there. We'll require. Let's see, if I were to do this again, I'd probably not glue these in quite yet. It does make the process a little more tedious. Can I just crack it off? Nope, this thing is fused in there forever now. It's fine, that's kind of what we want anyways. You know what, let's do it like I did the last one. We'll go through like through there, and then like this. Then as we're making our way up through this side, there we go. And now we got our second push rod all the way through. And I will again leave a little slack, but not a ton. And I will, that looks like it's already in place. So I will, wherever my little Allen key went, there it is, tighten this down. Nice, and then I can cut off the excess bit. launch that across the room. But that should be our control surfaces all connected up, which is nice. Now you grab servos, assembly, cool. So now I think I want to get I was gonna say tires, but I don't mind the tires being off for now because it's easier to get everything else installed. I'm gonna be using the DJI 03 air unit because I think it's really cool. But we're gonna use then this part and let's see, this part for mounting. I think there's one other piece. Yes, there is. I think it's not that, but it is this part. This part. So we're going to mount with these 4 little screws that have a nut on them because I didn't have the right length, but if you add a nut onto them, then they are the right length. But if the camera's upside down, like that, and like this, come on, you work with me here. I'll get this set in place before tightening it. All right, one side in, now the other side. There. Make sure that it's upside down like this. That's because it's going to be mounted like this inside here, and there's this little slot that it goes into and pushes forward, and then there's a set screw I can use on this front side. So that's going to go right in there. Set screw. Get that there, and now camera's mounted, and then this plate does a very similar thing where it slides in the back here, and then the set screw up front, and that's just how it goes. And then this mounts really well in the back here, so I'm going to take these 4 screws out, put the plate on, and remount it. If you are interested in purchasing this plane, or just the parts of the plane, or the files of the plane, this is through Craycle. This is the Craycle Cub, but there are discount codes in the description of this live stream, and there'll be codes in the description of the video when this build video comes out. But it'll save you 15%, I believe, on the STL files, and 10% on the actual printed parts. I think those numbers are correct. But either way, the codes are in the description, and if you use our codes, not only will it save you money, but it'll also earn us a little commission. So make sure to do that because it's a win-win, and you get a cool plane like this. And I'm enjoying this build process. It's really easy. I'd say it's really easier than the Craycle stick. Not that the Craycle stick was difficult by any stretch of the imagination, but this is a pretty easy build so far. I mean, everything went together really beautifully. The prints came out really nice. So yeah, if you're looking for another plate to add to your arsenal and you have a 3D printer, this is super cheap and easy. And then, like I said, with the Craycle stick, if you crash and things don't go well, you can reprint the parts for like a couple bucks worth of PLA versus like $40 for a new fuselage, or, you know, foam costs a lot more to replace compared to 3D printed parts, especially when they're designed this nicely from Craycle. But we've got our air unit all screwed in here, and this is going to slide in. This is just heat, what's it called? Thermal paste, not heat anything. Did I do that right? Is that going like that? And this will go like this. Why do I think that's backwards? Sure can't go like that. Yeah, it must be right. And this wire can just curl around there. And then there's one more screw that goes in this side, which I have, I thought I picked out already. Okay. All right, so that's our air unit all mounted up. It's very rigid. And then you can also, the instructions say if you want to have a hole for your antenna, you can just pop it through. I'll probably do that on this side with a little, it says use your soldering iron to poke a hole through, and then you could just stick your antenna out. So I'll either do that there, or I'll maybe fish it around, we'll see. But at least in the meantime, that's air unit all mounted, and that goes right on top here. I'll put that aside for now because we got some other electronics to deal with. Let's see. So back to the plane in here. There is a little mount I'm going to add. Let's see. Or a little, maybe not mount, a little bracket I can put in here. And I'm going to, I'm looking at it like, huh, I wonder what those screws were used for, but they'll probably make themselves known as we keep going. But got these. Here's where I'm going to put the receiver, just in the back. And then you'll need a 4-channel receiver. I'm going to use a 6-cell, or geez, you need a 4-channel receiver. I'm going to use a 6-channel because I happen to have it lying around. I guess I could use the 4-channel receiver I have in this stick, but why not? That's not the right one I wanted to use anyways. On the list of parts to print, they have a couple of these different standoffs. If you add like an iNav, what's it called? That board, or a receiver board, or whatever. They have a whole bunch of different things to add, and I just picked out the wrong one. But in my handy dandy box of parts, I've got the right one, which this one's just flat all the way across, and it has the little Craycle logo, which I think is cool. Gosh darn it. It was almost in the right spot. Throw flap-arounds. Yeah, I like that. That could be a move down the road once I get a flight or two with it. I like that idea. Never hurts to have more channels. God, I keep dropping this part in. Can we please lock in here, part? This is also why I said it might be easier to add these parts before you get everything in. Just because then if you drop something, you kind of grab it. Whew. It's got me geeking, I'll tell you that much. All right, maybe I'll take these screws out and put the screws in when it's their time, but I just was trying to be smart and save time, and that's cost me in the end. we go. Oh, that might be why it's not screwing in. I put it in the wrong hole. Is this even the part I needed? Is there a third one that fits better? That's too small. Wait, that one might go here. Don't know what it's for, though. I thought I had... Maybe it is the right part. Or, all right, I'll just put it one hole back. Okay, got a little pad in here. This is what I've been trying to put in, is just this little connector deal so that we can put our receiver right on top of it. Right there. And it should be out of the way of everything. Yeah. That'll be just fine. But let's see. Next, we've probably got something that has not concerned me, but intrigued me, is there's no like Velcro strap or anything for this whole system. So I'll have to add one myself, but we'll have to figure that out as we go. Next thing, we got the motor mount, which is a very cool little piece of technology here. So we've got motor mount here, then the spinner and the back part, and then this little... I don't know what that's for. This little threaded piece. And what we're going to do with those are start with here, and then our motor, which I'm going to screw this to the back. And we've got all these screws and washers, which I don't know if we need the washers, but yeah, why not? We got them. Might as well use them. Okay, I'm just lightly screwing it in to start so I can make sure they're all set. Hey, how's it going? It's going well. As you can see, we'll switch to the full desk. We've got a green Cub here, which is almost done. We're just going to throw in the electronics, the motor, ESC, connect that to the receiver, and then throw in the gear, and we should be pretty much all done. But it's going really well so far. The prints came out just fine. Actually, they came out really well. I've got no complaints there. The whole process building is really well, really easy. Although their instructions don't have any like Velcro strap location or battery mount, which is not the end of the world. I'll just have to fish one in there. But on the Craycle stick, they for sure added like, all right, here's where to mount your battery. You know, like here's what they would recommend, which is always nice to have, especially if you're trying to build a plane. All right, why is this one screw being annoying? I did a little too much, I guess. Oh, and then they all came undone. Great. Unscrewed it just a little bit, and then that was the... Yeah, the 3D print. You mean the concept that we're kind of tackling, or you know, showing off, and the Craycle thing? Yeah, I agree. I like the 3D printing aspect of this hobby, especially when it comes to like crashes. It's like, oh no, I've got to reprint, and it'll cost me a couple hours instead of a lot of money. Although when I can't screw these parts in, they might make me want to just freak, but we're getting it. There we go. Now we got these motor all tightened in. Yeah, especially when you can just like, oh, I want a green Cub. Well, now we got it. Like, I think that's super cool. Yeah, much cheaper, especially on the repairs side. Like, save yourself a good chunk of change. But yeah, see, we got this. It doesn't look centered. This side it does. This side it looks a little off, but you know what? We'll roll with it. So that's like that, and then this screws into the plane like this. Although before I do any of that, I think I want to attach it to my ESC, because these barrels just aren't the right size for these, which is a bummer on both ends, because I'm going to have to resolder everything, which is fine. It's what I was planning on doing anyways, but it would have been nice to have the right length of stuff and the right whatever. But for then this, let's see. No, I'll do the soldering here while we're still young. Let's see. I have to move this for now. So we're going to, it doesn't really have to be all that long. Maybe I'll cut these right down the middle. Right? It doesn't have to be that long. Because it's really, it's this, the ESC sits right in the nose. I'm pretty sure. Actually, you know what? It's better to have extra wires than not enough wires. Plus, if I have to coil wires, that's fine. It'll be out of eye shot anyways. But I'm keeping these barrel connectors because they'll probably be used for something. And then I will do the same with this. And then just a normal tin and strip and everything. Have you seen built fast stuff? I have not yet, but that seems cool. Actually, maybe built fast. Maybe I have. I've seen more and more 3D printing plain stuff popping up. It's all so cool. Maybe I have seen built fast stuff. Cool 3D printed jets. Like, yeah, that would be cool. I still haven't officially ever flown an EDF, but I've got one that I'm waiting to fly. I don't know if you can see any of this. I'm just stripping wire. But let's get this then in here. It might be a bit louder for a second as I turn this fan on so that I still got good working lungs in my older age. But let's turn maybe this on. Get that going. Now I'm going to have to test to see which way this motor spins, because I don't want to repeat the Craycle incident. What 3D printer do you use to print your planes? I'm glad you asked. We just upgraded from a Elegoo Neptune 4 Pro to a Bambu Lab P1S. And boy, is it really cool. Like, it prints super fast, super quiet. Huge fan, Bambu Lab. If you're watching this, if you're one of the 2 people watching this, please sponsor us, because we'd totally make videos about your 3D printers if you send them to us. But they're really cool, and we're obviously not sponsored. It was just it was time to upgrade. Okay, that needs to be a little hotter. And okay, I'm gonna turn the fan on. It's gonna be probably a little louder for a little bit, but it'll be pretty quick. Am I going to head tracking for this? No, at least not yet. This is going to be a digital, you know what? I'll answer that in a second when I turn this fan off, so I'm not talking over it. But no, in short. Okay. So these are pretty bad joints and there's no heat shrink, all because I'm going to make sure that this spins the correct direction and then re-solder it with the joints. Am I going to do head tracking on this plane? No, but I am going to do a digital because Craycle designed in a digital system into this top mounting part. So I got the O3 air unit all mounted up and it sits really nicely in there. So this is just going to be a digital, not moving camera. But at some point I could totally throw on my little micro system here and add head tracking if I want to. That's totally an option. Let's see, I just don't want these wires to touch, although if they do, I don't think that's the end of the world. Famous last words. I'm going to connect up, let's see, this to here, which I believe is the throttle. That should be to power, which means I need a transmitter, which I got right here. So what way do I even need it to spin? Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I've got, yeah. Actually, you won't be able to see really that well anyways. So we'll just focus on this part. How did you get your O3s? I got it a long time ago. Probably like a year and a half, 2 years ago, which is why I have it still. I don't know how hard it is to get one now, but I'm pretty sure very difficult. But yeah, that's how I got it. Let's see, I'm going to plug this in. Actually, these are all pretty much touching, so I'm going to make sure these wires aren't touching. Okay, they're not touching. I'm going to plug this in. Beep, beep, beep. There, that's looking for bind. Bound. Beep, beep. Oh, bind failed. Well, it tried. Let's unplug, replug, beep, beep, beep. Okay, trying again to bind. Right, give me a second here. Trying a third time, throttle, yeah. Okay, there, now it bound. Just needed a little second here. And so, one of those wires are touching, it looks like. That's crazy, that's when you fire up a quadcopter, that's what I'm used to the sound being. But if I'm guessing kill switch. Now the big question is, did that even spin the right way? I couldn't really tell. Let's see, I can do the old tape test, which I'm going to put a piece of tape on the end here. And make a little flag out of it. And then, let's see, my propellers, one of them is in the box. And we know that we want it to spin this way, which if it's this way, it's going to be clockwise. So if it's facing this way, we want it to spin clockwise. Can't tell at all. Well, that might be right, actually. Yeah, it's coming in this way. So I think that's correct. So I'm going to unplug and then take the tape off. And so I think that means that our joints are all correct, which means I can add heat shrink and then re-solder all of these so that they just look a bit better. Take a water break. Okay, so we're gonna have to turn the loud sounds on again. I'm gonna grab my heat shrink, just up here. All right, so fan's going on. Sorry, it's gonna be loud. Okay, those are all resoldered, but it is going to still be loud for just a second as I'm going to add, or heat shrink these down. So I'm going to turn on the old hair dryer here just for a second. Then we should be settled up here. Perfect. Okay, that should be our motor wires all taken care of. So I'm gonna give them a little twist here just to keep them together. All right, so what other soldering are we need to do? Not a whole lot, I think. Let's get that off, that off. This moved away. I don't think we need much more heat shrink. We get our plane back up here. Our motor mount is going to go in here, sideways. See, we're going in here, and then it's got these, you push this through and you align these holes with this hole, and then that's how you know you're in the right depth. And that's what these screws, if you've been watching for a while, which nobody is right now, but you'll notice, or you remember I said, where did these screws go? And I remember. That's there, and then this goes here. All right, that's our motor all mounted up, which is nice and sturdy. Now I'm going to take this nut off the end. Then put, propeller would go on, but I'm not going to put the propeller on yet for safety reasons. But I am going to add just a little, let's see, a little glue to this part, because we can glue on the screw, which will put on the spinner. It's also not a screw off, it's just a take off. Oh, God. I don't know what I'm smelling, but it is not good. Where is the cover for this glue? Good Lord. Oh, there it is. Whew, that is fierce. Make sure this sets. Just douse the whole area. We are almost done, it looks like. So then this is where the spinner goes on the top. Just like this. It works really nice because then we can put, propeller would go on, then this goes on, then this screws on top of that. And tightens all the way in, and then our little spinner goes on top. So of course I'm not going to put the propeller on now, but that's at least how it's gonna look. Now I think all we've got left to do is attach up all of our, what's the word I'm looking for, servos to our receiver, and then this should be pretty much done. And I'm super excited to at least power it up, see how it goes. Okay, here's our receiver, and we need TA. Ailerons are next. Ailerons also need a Y lead, so it's 1 and 2. And I've got the Y lead here, which I might switch out for a shorter Y lead because that's pretty long as is. Though this isn't going to save me all that much space. Yeah, it's pretty much identical. All right, whatever. Okay. Wait, now what are the other ones? So we've got the ailerons going into here in the TA second spot. Oh yeah, we also have to throw on the landing gear, which isn't retractable or anything, but it is still completely 3D printable, which is awesome. All right, you. Enough joking around. There we go. Now, these obviously don't matter. which spot they go in. There we go. TA. E is elevator. Elevator is that one. These ones I might have to just guess and wait a second. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay, now I'll probably have to guess and check which one's which. I think this one's elevator. Elevator on this side. I can actually hit you with maybe a side view. There you go. I'm just plugging in all of these plugs so we can get a little test to see all the surfaces. Although I don't know why all of these servos are having an issue with this receiver. They just aren't as smooth as they should be. But it's there. This is here. Okay, that's all of our control surfaces plugged into our receiver. And before I test, I want to put on the gear here. The gear is pretty darn cool because, let's see, does it show it? Now, see, I've still got the old version of documentation. Meaning, we'll have to just scroll all the way up to see what it looks like. And I know it involves this gear, the 3D printable TPU wheels, the green rims, but let's go. Yeah, okay. So we start off with this part, put on I'm guessing those get glued in. Oh, I see. That's what those are for. Okay, so we need more glue. Okay, now we're gonna just douse the whole area. That. Then we gotta put our rims on our tires. Which again, TPU. A little squishy. There we go. That's one. And ugh. There we go. Look at that. Nice green wheels. But okay, these parts are in. Now these go on there. And then these just get screwed in, which I can probably just use any old screw. Let's see. Here. Still working on the best location to put this stuff, but I think all I need is a couple of tiny screws. we are almost done, which I'm stoked about. Although it's only taken us 2.5 hours. This stream is 2.5 hours long. But this office needs better ventilation because with all these lights on, it is getting warm. But screwing in the rim. Not too tight because I still want this wheel to spin. But that's one. Now to rinse and repeat. Looks like I'll have to grab some more of these servo screws. There we go, got a nice little wheel action. And then get that back on there. These are done. Now, is this my screw? Yes. Yes, this is the bin. We just need 3 of these servo screws. Now just okay. Let's see. Yeah, that's still not a better angle. Okay. A couple more screws here. Going there. And then last screw. And see, this landing gear also secures in these standoffs. They're kind of sandwiched together. So the standoffs go beneath it, gear on top. Look at that. That looks so slick. It's standing up nice. It's got its gears on. Man, okay, this is looking nice. So I'm gonna clean up really quick just so that our first test has a nice, look to it. It's not all scrappy, but put this one together super easily. And I'm not counting my chickens yet, but I can at least try to count. Let's see. That's over there, this is over here. Again, I'm not putting the propeller on yet because that is just a big accident waiting to happen, and I'm fine with waiting a little longer for it, but I will put everything inside. You can also tuck these wires away better, but for now, let's see, I'll try to get probably this angle. It's the best because you can see everything. Okay, you can see everything, great. I'm going to plug this battery in. Kill switch is on. Obviously that'll go in better, but for now, we got some nice aileron deflection. There's a little, it catches on this side just a little bit, so I'll add a little sandpaper, but elevator, rudder, that is amazing. This is going to be trimmed out a hair, it looks like, which is fine. We've got, if that's in the center, do we have safe on this? I'd be surprised. No worries, don't need it. Little throttle test. Geez, it sounds cool. I'm going to take this spinner all the way off because I just want to goose it and I don't want any loose things moving around. All right. Throttle test, full silence, just motor. I mean, come on, is that not pretty sweet? But wow, I think that's going to be pretty much it here. I mean, I do have to redo or just, set this in a little bit better, but I think for the sake of this live stream, our goal was to build this plane, and gosh darn it, this plane is built. So yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it up here because I love how this is looking. I can't wait to just get it finished up, trim everything out, make sure all this stuff is, but it's been 2.5 hours. I think I'm going to call it here, but wow. That looks so nice. Get a little full desk view. That is such a nice view. I love that it's green. I think that's so cool. I just bought Kyle's SODY 3D, and even the so far Craycle's assembly is the best. Yeah, I haven't tried any of the other ones other than Craycle, and that's because Craycle reached out to us and said, hey, we'd love it if you try your stuff. He said, absolutely. But yeah, this assembly was so smooth. I know for the Craycle stick, it took 2 live streams of about 2.5 hours. It took about 5 hours to build it. And that's because I was, talking with you guys and it was taking longer. This was a little more dedicated and just straightforward. I mean, all these parts went together really well. It took, what, 2.5 hours plus a little bit of extra for the electronics. But this is like, every part like meshed together really well. This has been awesome. That's the wrong view. But I mean, come on, the green cub. The grub, the Craycle, like this is awesome. I'm really excited for this. I think it's supposed to be nice weather this weekend, so I'm going to try to fly it. It won't be the video on Sunday. It'll probably be either next Sunday or the Sunday after. But this plane came together so nicely, and I am so excited to try this out. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up here because it's warm in here, and I'm super content with where we got. You know what? Should I try the propeller on just for a sake of the argument test? Why not? I'll put the propeller on. Let's see. Motor's killed. I'm also going to try to be quick with this. I have the right tool for it. I got it out for this reason. I'm so prepared. The GRUE, the grub. Yeah, exactly. The grub, the green cub. I think that's pretty funny. Is this even tightening? Nope. Why is this being a nuisance? Well, you know what I should have done? If I'm going to put the nose cone on anyways. No, I'm here. Let's tighten this up. It's kind of, you know what? It's kind of difficult to tighten only because this nut is really tight. And so I've got to get my thumb in there. Okay, it's starting to hurt. I'm gonna face this away from me. You know, I'll face it towards this side camera so you can get the best angle over here. Okay, this is, I'm gonna make sure to hold it. Okay, it's held, and I'm going to kill switches off. I have the motor wires backwards again, because if I let go a little bit, it goes backwards. Ah, well, that makes sense. That's why it's so tough to turn in, but I will have to fix that in post. So if you're watching this stream, you'll know that this propeller is spinning the wrong way because I did the motor wires wrong again, even though I thought I did it right twice, but proves how much I know about it. But with that, I think I'm going to wrap up. Wow, what an angle. I'm going to wrap up this live stream. I'm officially taking off the gloves, which gross. But thank you to those who has stuck around and watched, and you got to see this whole thing getting built. There will be videos about the entire build process a little down the road. Buy the other side prop. Yeah, I could do that, but it's really easy to just flip 2 wires. I should just buy both sides so that when I do this, I can just flip it. But yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. I'm gonna go hit the showers because I am warm. But yeah, this has been super exciting. Thank you so much for watching. Let's see, I usually clean up at the end of the stream, but it's already pretty clean in here, so I'll just call it there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to use those coupon codes in the description so that if you are going to use this stuff, or you're going to buy this stuff yourself, make sure to use our codes, because why not save yourself a little bit of money. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. This has been Inverted Aviators RC, and stick around for more videos like this.